All right, we are ready to kick off today's program. So, welcome to our first Friday boot camp. As many of you know, we do this once a month, first Friday of every single month, and we've been doing it literally since 2020, like mid 2020. So, we're in our fourth or fifth year of doing this consistently every single month. So, super excited to have you here. As I mentioned, this program is open to all agents of all firms. What we're going to cover throughout today is amazing tools, training, technology. It is chock full of content. It is chock full of templates that you can use for your business. So one of the pieces that I always like to start with is a reminder to take notes, and you want to leave here today with at least 5 items that you're going to execute on once as you're watching the program. And by the way, we're going to give you hints throughout the program when there's something really good that you might want to write down. Because one of the things we want to make sure is that since you are so dedicated to your business, that you're going to spend the next few hours learning and diving into knowledge, we want to make sure that you execute on it. We always say knowledge is not power, knowledge is potential. Execution is power. So the point of that is today we're going to give you probably 30 or 40 or 50 items that you could go execute on. But really, if you could just execute on 5 items. What often happens is that real estate agents come back to this several times throughout the year. Many of you have seen on our boot camps before. And so you can come back next month, or even better, you can visit our YouTube station at youtube.com/LAER, LAER, training. And we'll have this class on our LAER training YouTube station literally after the class is over. So you can revisit once you've completed your 5 items that you go execute on. You can come back and rewatch the program and add things that you might want to execute on after you've completed the initial items. Okay, so with that, let me pull up. I'm going to encourage everybody to go to laerrealty.com/success tools. There you are going to find the LAER program and services guide. And even if you're not a LAER agent, download this guide because a lot of the tools that we speak about today are embedded within that booklet. When you go to laerrealty.com/success tools, I'm going to actually pull up the guide. When you go to that, hold on. You'll find the LAER program and services guide. As I mentioned, it's a 40-page booklet of the tools, training, all the resources available at LAER, but it also includes other technology, tutorials, a lot of the stuff that we cover today, and where you're going to be able to find all those Canva templates that I'm going to show you in the next hour or so, like listing presentations, buyer presentations, pre-listing packages. So you'll want to go download that. When you go to laerrealty.com/success tools, if you go to the very bottom of the page there, you will see you can download a PDF version of the guide. So if you are someplace where you have a printer, you can actually print this out and take notes. Also, I want to point out as you go through the guide, anytime you see something that is underlined, that is a hyperlink to more information. So you can we designed it so that you could explore a lot of the tools we're speaking about today. So I see many agents who are joining us today are with other brokerages. This program is not a recruiting pitch by any means. Just to let everybody know who we are, we're independent real estate brokerage, LAER Realty Partners. We are almost 11 years old. Where we got our name from is when we started the brokerage, our goal was to help agents become the best version of themselves. So as a brokerage, we want to attract great agents, but also build great real estate agents. And so at the time of starting the brokerage, we made a list of all the things that make a great real estate agent. They're strong. They're negotiators of difficult terrain. In other words, the best real estate agents are really good at overcoming obstacles. That kind of is our entire business. And the best agents are true protectors of their clients. They don't focus on the money. They focus on helping people. So 11 years ago, when we put all those words into a Google search, strong, protector, negotiator, the first thing that came up in our search was a lion. And so we said, that's it. We'll build our brand around the lions of real estate. Lions come together in layers in the jungle. And so we said, we'll name our brokerage LAER. We changed the spelling of LAER because it's the mirror image. Our version is the mirror image of real, since we're in the real estate business. And then we created the acronym Local Agents Extraordinary Results. So I tell people, sometimes you see lions in a walkway or in front of a house. That is because the lion is a symbol of protection for the home. We look at it that there's a new symbol of protection for real estate across Massachusetts, New Hampshire, Maine, Florida, and now Connecticut. So special welcome to all of our Connecticut agents today. There's a new symbol of protection for real estate in all these markets, and that is the LAER for sale sign. So when you open this booklet, the first few pages just define our cultural values. It then just defines what it means to us to be an independent real estate brokerage. We're really proud of being independent. Even though we're very small with about 800 real estate agents, we do a lot of business. Our agents are strong and powerful, and we regularly get recognized by Real Trends 500, the Riz Media Power Broker Report, as one of the largest real estate brokerages in the country, just based on the amount of business that our agents are doing. So that is the entire pitch on LAER and who we are, but we don't have a lot of time. We have hours and hours and hours worth of tools that we want to cover, and we have a limited amount of time to do that. So let's talk about marketing and branding. Now, as you go through this booklet, again, you can download it at laerrealty.com/success tools. As you go through the booklet, it's divided into 4 sections. We put marketing and branding first because oftentimes when we poll our agents, like, what is your biggest struggle as a real estate agent? Oftentimes, for many agents, it's marketing and branding. So we lead with the marketing and branding within our guide and as a brokerage. So first whole section of the book is marketing and branding, and this is where we're going to start giving away tons and tons of resources for your business. So first off, we have our LAER Agent Services dashboard. So this is the first tool that we mention within the guide because it offers so much to our agents. If you have the program guide open on your screen, you can actually just click on this and it will take you right over to our LAER Agent Services dashboard. Now, if you're working with say you're a broker from another firm, for example, you might say, well, I don't have a username and password for that site. Well, I did not put in a username or password. We open up these tools our mission is to help all agents become the best version of themselves. So this agent service dashboard is open to all agents. And I want to take you guys through a tour of it because the next hour or so, you are going to receive tens of thousands of dollars worth of materials that you can use to better systematize your business. And they're all located right here. So Let's take a look. We're at LAER Agent Services. First, I want to point out that as you go through here, a couple things that you will notice. First, all the buttons are little houses. We did that purposely because we know that great real estate professionals love to explore real estate and go in and out of houses and check out cool real estate. So when you're over at LAER Agent Services, you can actually click on these houses and begin exploring. So each house is filled with all kinds of great content for your business. At the very top of the page, you will also find like a little table of contents. A couple things that I just want to point out at the top of this page. This is the very, very top. There's a few items here. Number one, we put our happy agent host schedule. So if you're a LAER agent, as you know, we have 40, I think 40 plus real estate offices, and many of them have staff during the day. So we call our staff happy agent hosts because they're hosting real estate agents and clients who come into the office. So we call our staff our hosts, office hosts. And here we keep a schedule of all the offices and who is the host for the office if somebody's going to be in the office that day. The reason we publish this calendar is, let's just say that you want to have a check dropped off or a document dropped off at an office. You want to make sure that it's an office that is manned, because we do also have, in addition to our 40 plus offices, we have what are called convenience centers, and we don't necessarily have staff at those. They're just really nice places to go meet a customer, where we have copy machines and a coffee set up and conference rooms. So if you're having documents dropped off, you want to go to our host schedule just to see where there will be a human being that can accept documents or accept a check, things like that. Second, up here at the very top is the LAER internal newsletter. This is our LAER Inside the Den. This comes out monthly. And this is for our real estate agents. It's just a 4-page newsletter. Important, if you're a LAER agent, to read this once a month when it comes out. It's a 5-minute read. But basically each month we announce all the agents that have joined since the previous month. There's usually a welcome letter from me, a little section with the funnies in there. We have technology tips, book smarts, but this is the best part, is you get to find out what's happening in the lives of your fellow agents. So if somebody's had a loss in their family, or somebody had a new baby or a recent engagement, all of it is in the newsletter each month. By the way, when you're if you go to this link to check out the news, if you scroll down to the bottom, you can also report news. So if you have an announcement that you want us to know, just send it into LAER News. So maybe somebody in your office had a baby, or got a new designation or a new license. Let us know about it, because we want to share that with your fellow agents in our newsletter. But this is a 4-page newsletter. We always have a sustainability segment. We always have movies with a purpose. And then in the back, we have our birthday celebrations and whatever news we have happening. Right now, we happen to have our CMA a Day challenge that's happening every day. So we have a little bit about that, but all of that is listed under the LAER News. We also have our recently joined agents. So agents get announced here under recently joined when we have a photo of them and a bio of the agent. So once we have a photo and bio, we officially announce you on our message board here, just so other agents within the brokerage can get to know a little bit about who you are. And then we have marketing. A lot of these sections now for the rest of this, like marketing, agent growth and development, agent tools, etc., all of these just scroll you down to these sections below. So why don't we start scrolling down and exploring what's inside some of these houses? So at the very top, we have some resources for recently joined agents. The very first resource is the LAER Program and Services Guide that we started with a moment ago. So if you ever lose your copy or you forget where to find the program guide, you can download it right here. That guide gets updated a few times a year as we add new tools and training and technology. So you can always get the most recent version of it right here. Also, if you're a newly joined real estate agent, we have a section called Frequently Asked Questions. These are like 300 plus of the questions that agents typically ask, all kinds of stuff. By the way, we have our happy agent team who is always on standby. So if you ever have a question, you can just email it into happyagent@laerrealty.com, and one of our 50 plus staff members will be assigned your question and they'll reach out to you. But sometimes you might just have something quick, like you need wiring instructions or something. You can go to frequently asked questions and get that information. And then also, if you're newly joined agent, we have a section called Tell the World. These are social media pieces, etc., that you can update, letters, social media pieces, things like that to get you up and running. Next section, this is just our recently joined agents and our marketing, branding, and presentations. This is where it starts to get really fun. A lot of the stuff I mentioned in the email that you received inviting you to today's program is right in this section. So I want to start with guides, presentations, and brochures. One of the things that many real estate agents struggle with is coming up with really good content. So having a great listing presentation, a great buyer presentation, also great materials to hand out to somebody, like a buyer guide, a seller guide, an investor guide. And so at LAER, we've done all that work for you. So if you click on guides, presentations, and brochures, you will see a whole bunch of different pieces that we have created for you. Now, before we dig into some of these so that you can check them out, I wanted to talk for a moment about Canva. So all of our pieces are created on Canva. Many of you are familiar with Canva. If you're not familiar with Canva, I believe it's one of the more important tools that you will need for your business, because one of the reasons why sellers hire us is to market and brand, or at least market their properties. So we need to have really good stuff that we can give to those sellers, like presentations on their properties, etc. But just in general, as real estate professionals, we are always auditioning for a role of being hired by a buyer or seller. And so this is all the materials that help us win these roles as somebody's buyer rep or seller rep, etc. So it's really important that you have great content that you can hand out. So we build all of our branding pieces in Canva. So a couple things to know about Canva. There's a free version and a paid version of Canva. So at a minimum, every real estate agent should have the free version of Canva because it's free. You just go sign up for it. It has an app and you can work from your desktop on Canva. I also feel that every real estate agent should have the paid version of Canva, which is, I believe, $15. Sorry about that. For some reason, it just kicked me out. Okay, let me reshare. All right, sorry about that. All of a sudden, my screen just went black from Zoom. So let me go back to where I was. All right, so we are back talking about Canva. So there's the free and the paid version of Canva. The paid version is about $15 a month. You do get a discount if you pay a year in advance. I strongly recommend agents have the paid version of Canva, and here's why. When you're using Canva, the difference between the free version and the paid version is, first, with the paid version, you get millions and millions and millions of stock images. A stock image is like a beautiful house or a beautiful landscape. It's just images out there. And I could tell you from experience over the last few years, it's really important when you're creating your branding pieces and when you are putting listings into MLS, two things: that you never use photos that you do not own, because we've had 3 different copyright lawsuits, and copyright lawsuits are very, very expensive. And those happen when an agent takes a photo from Google. 2 of our copyright lawsuits were an agent that took photos off of Google of like a tennis court or a garden from a homeowners association property in Florida. And another lawsuit was a agent who had hired a teenager to do their social media, and that teenager did a post about beautiful ponds or beautiful places to visit in New Hampshire and took the images from Google. Well, just when something's on Google, a Google image, there's a really good chance that it's a copywritten image. You cannot use that image, or you face being sued. And we know because we've had 3 of them. So when you're using Canva, they have stock images. First, let me note that even the free version has a million something images, stock images that you can use for your business. But when you have the upgraded, the $15 per month version of Canva, you get millions and millions of more stock images. So since real estate agents are in the business of marketing, we as a brokerage like to have millions and millions of images to choose from when we're creating our marketing pieces. So what happens if you're an agent and you have the free version of Canva, and LAER has created all their marketing pieces on a paid version of Canva? All that means is that you will occasionally have to change out an image. For example, this is a little booklet we have in Canva that is expired listing booklet. We have a lot of agents that do go after or reach out to expired listings. So this is just a little 9-page booklet that we created within Canva, so that it can be customized by the agent, and they can utilize this to reach out to expired listings. So this picture right on the front here with the blue lamps and the blue couch on the right and the blue pillow over here, that is a stock image from Canva. So let's just say that that could be an image from the Canva Pro, the more expensive version of Canva. So if you're using the free version of Canva and you open this template, it's going to have a Canva watermark across the whole image. Not only that, you won't be able to download the booklet into a PDF version. All you have to do to get around that is switch out the image. So you click on it and you would go to elements, and we're going to say I want a picture of a beautiful living room. And you'll see it gives me a whole bunch. By the way, if you guys look at these photos, so when you look at the photos, I could see all the ones with the little crown are because I'm a member of Canva Pro, the $15 a month. But you'll also see there's tons of images that you can choose from that you don't have to have the paid version of Canva. So for example, I could take, if you're a Canva free version of Canva user, and you open this document and you see big watermark across the image, you would just go grab another photo from Canva. And this one, for example, is a free image. And now you can utilize the document. You'll be able to download the booklet just like any other real estate agent. So they have tons and tons of images. You don't have to, both free and Canva Pro version. Here's another one that's this one is also a free version of Canva. So if you're not used to using Canva, just note that if you're using the free version and you open one of our pieces and you see a watermark across an image, all that means is you have to change out the photo for a photo that you can use. And yes, you will have hundreds of thousands of photos to choose from. We like having millions and millions and millions of photos to choose from. So that's the worst case. Now let's go back and talk about Canva Pro or Canva in general for a second. In case you've never used Canva, the way it works is we create templates. So that means our marketing team goes in and creates all kinds of pieces: buyer guides, seller guides, listing presentations, buyer presentations. You'll see we have marketing plans, buyer intake forms, owning versus renting documents. We have all different types of listing and buyer presentations. So you'll see we have ones that for agents that focus on high performance homes. If you go to the top, you will also see we have brochures. Like here's a great brochure on how the market affects pricing. We also have a workbook on selling your home. If you want to go do first-time homebuyer courses in your marketplace, we created an entire first-time homebuyer slides for your program. So you can open that. Home Buying 101. So this is for if you're doing a first-time homebuyer class, you would click on this and you will see this one's really long. So this is more for like a multi-part first-time homebuyer program, because you'll see there's like 155 slides here, I think, which is an extremely long class. But oftentimes our agents use this to break it down into multiple pieces of a program. But what's important to note is with the Canva template program, anytime you open one of our templates, that is now in your Canva account and it now becomes your piece. So you can change it. You can change out the logo. You can change out add your picture. You can add your contact information. For example, here's a guide to buyer representation for New England. You can change out anything. So if you click on this as an agent, this now becomes your presentation. So you can go through and delete slides, you can add slides, you can do whatever you want. And the next person who comes along and clicks on the link is not going to see anything you've done to the piece because it's only your piece now. So that's how the template program works. Now, let's talk about some of the pieces that I think are most important here. Like I mentioned, there's hundreds of pieces here to choose from. But we started today's program saying knowledge is not power, knowledge is potential power. So the real power is in executing. One of the things, so here's a few things that I think every real estate agent should have in their toolbox of resources. We believe that you should have a really good buyer presentation. Now, up until about last August, I think most real estate agents did not have a really good buyer presentation. I do think most agents had listing presentations, a presentation that articulated all the things that a real estate agent does to help somebody sell their property. But I don't believe most people had this. Let me do this in presentation mode so you could see it. So I don't think most real estate agents had one for buyers, but now you kind of have to have one for buyers because we're now asking buyers in many instances to sign a long-term contract right from the beginning, right from the first appointment, just like we do with sellers. So it's important to articulate our value if we're going to ask somebody to sign a document committing themselves to us. So we have a few different buyer presentations to choose from. This one is one of my favorites. And this is the way I look at this is a presentation that, let's say you have a buyer client that just reached out to you. You would invite them into the office and say, I have a quick presentation to go through what it means to buy real estate. And then we could talk about setting you up on a home search, etc. But you use that opportunity to get a buyer contract signed. So basically you go through this, it's got an about me section. It's got a piece about the brokerage. You could put in some testimonials. So you can see we have it set up. So there's a lot of information that you would just go in and update so that it's customized to you. But then we lay out the 10-step buying process. Now, step one is evaluation, consultation, and representation. Do I need a buyer agent? And how agents are paid. One of the things that I think is great about this presentation is sometimes agents worry so much about telling the buyer that they may have to contribute to paying for the buyer agent fee. This document puts it right at the beginning. We lead with it. Here's the 10 things that you need to know when you're considering buying a property. And we lead with why they need a buyer agent and how agents are paid. And we talk about a buyer representation contract, what the agent agrees to and what the buyer is agreeing to. And then we recommend that you do a screenshot of whatever buyer contract you're using so that it's on the screen as you go through your presentation. Of course, you're going to give a package as well that has that buyer contract, but you just basically explain the nuances of the agreement. And one of the biggest pieces that you explain as part of your presentation is the fact that they can ask for the seller to contribute to the buyer agent fee. So that's all step one. Then it gets into all the other stuff, like step two, determining a price range, evaluating mortgage options, shopping for more than just interest rate, getting pre-approved, what is mortgage insurance. Step three, evaluating communities. Step four, shopping for a home. Now, one of the things, by the way, you guys can update this if you don't feel comfortable or want this out, but one of the things that we teach in our Algorithm class is that your listing presentation and your buyer presentations are checklist manifestos. So the agents that excel in real estate work off of very habitual checklists, certain things that they do every time they meet a buyer, certain things they do every time they meet a seller. Well, your presentation is a checklist of all the things that we want to make sure we get articulated to the client. The cool thing about this is that once you have a great presentation, you can further improve upon it as time goes on. So let's say you build your buyer presentation, which we've done most of the work. You just have to tweak it and make it your own. But let's say you lose a buyer for whatever reason, something goes wrong. You can go back and update your buyer presentation so that doesn't happen again in the future. So Since this is a checklist manifesto, we thought about when we were making the buyer presentation, what are all the things that go wrong on a transaction so that we can educate the buyer as we're doing the presentation. So from our point of view, one of the things that goes wrong too often with buyers is that they go search for real estate on Zillow and they get led down a yellow brick path of to another real estate agent. So one of the things we embed into our buyer presentation is why the consumer should not be shopping for real estate on Zillow. By the way, as a real estate agent, you should go shop for a home on Zillow so you can see all of the reasons why it is not a great platform for the buyers to be shopping on. So yes, one for us, the fact that they're going to be bombarded by sales calls by shopping on Zillow, that's obviously not good. And usually the consumer doesn't know that going into a Zillow search. But the searches are not real time, which means they're not accurate. So we always say you got to explain to the buyer that one of the reasons you don't want to be on Zillow is there's a good chance you are going to find the house of your dreams and fall in love with it and say, I'm ready to go look at this house. I want to buy it. And then I'm going to have to tell you that house went under agreement 2 weeks ago. And Zillow just hasn't updated their feed yet. Zillow is not in the business of helping the consumer find real estate. Zillow is in the business of selling leads to real estate agents. So it is not in their best interest to have accurate, up-to-date information. So we need to let our buying consumers know that. We want them to know, hey, you think you're reaching out to the listing agent because you have some questions on the house? That's not who you're reaching out to on Zillow. As a seller, the estimates are highly inaccurate and you're going to be inundated with sales calls. Oh, last but not least, you can't even narrow your search down. In most of the markets, you can only narrow your search in $50,000 increments. So, let's say you have a consumer that is only qualified up to 430,000. They have to search real estate up to 450,000 because of the way the Zillow algorithm works. So these are things that are important to know. We embed it here so that we can educate our buyers to stay off Zillow. That being said, you have to have a better place for them to go look for real estate, which is why at LAER, we're a huge fan of the Real Scout platform for buyer searches. It's just a much nicer search than an MLS search. Second, where's the other place that is a point of contention that we should be educating our consumers on as far as buyers go? We should be talking to them about visiting open houses. You should have protocols in place for the buyer, explain protocols for visiting open houses. Should they just randomly show up and look at houses? No. If they're going to go look at open houses, I think it's a good idea they tell you first so that you can call the other real estate agent and let them know the buyer is represented and is coming to look at the property. And at a minimum, you want to make sure the consumer is letting people know that they've already signed a buyer contract. So let's put that right into our presentation. We also want to let the consumer know what happens if they like an off-market property, a for sale by owner. We want to make sure that we educate the consumer on what the protocols are for off-market properties. Next, it talks about due diligence. Some of the things that great real estate agents do when a consumer is thinking about buying a property, from searching tax records, permits, lead paint records, condo documents, doing even just a Google search. Step 6, we talk about pricing and offer strategy. What happens if there's a bidding war? Step 7, we talk about writing up an offer, what it means if an offer is rejected, what happens if it's accepted, and then we talk about step 8, inspections, all the different types of inspections that they can do, what happens if there's too many repairs, what a home warranty is. So you guys have the ability to go in and change any of this. We wanted it to be super comprehensive because all of this explanation creates clarity in the transaction. By the way, that's why consumers hire us, both buyers and sellers. They are hiring us to create clarity on transactional real estate brokerage that they don't quite understand. So if you're going to be asking somebody to sign a long-term buyer agent contract, it is kindness to invite them in and do a presentation like this and talk about all the little nuances of buying a house. We talk about what the appraisal is. Oh, this is a really big one too that we've included right within the presentation. Let's educate the buyer about all the things that could make it so that their mortgage falls apart at the last minute. Many of you have experienced somebody like buying a car at the last second or financing furniture. They go sign up because Jordan's Furniture has 0 interest for 3 years. They don't realize that the fact that they took on that debt, even though it's 0 interest, has now affected their mortgage qualifications. Co-signing a debt, moving money between accounts, changing jobs, quitting jobs. This is our job is to educate the buyer so they know all the things that could hinder their ability to buy the house. Also, homeowners insurance is becoming a really big piece of it. So we included homeowners insurance right into the buyer presentation. This is really big in Florida. That's why we have right at the top, age of roof. For many of our Florida agents, you guys know, if your roof on the listing that you have, or you're taking a buyer to look at a property and the roof is like 9 years old, even if the roof is immaculate and it's beautiful and it's perfect, you're not gonna be able to get financing on that property because the age of the roof, and you're not going to be able to get insurance. So the property will probably need a roof. That's creating clarity for your buyers. Step 10 is the closing. So the final walkthrough, what closing documents look like, all the different types of closing documents. I believe gone are the days of a lead coming in, a cold lead coming in, a real estate agent showing up at a house to show a property from a cold lead that called in 15 minutes ago and an offer being written. That is no longer the way of this business, in my opinion. In my opinion, the new way of buyer agency is creating absolute clarity for the buyers and sellers, having well-articulated presentations for buyers and sellers where you create clarity, because for the buyers and sellers, when they're entering into a transaction, the biggest transaction of their lives in most instances, there is chaos and confusion. They just don't understand all the nuances. And your job is to create clarity. So that's just one of the LAER guides to representation. There are others to choose from on here. I do want to make a point for agents that make sure that whatever presentation you're using matches the type of agency that you are practicing in your marketplace. One of the things you'll notice about our pieces here is because we have offices in Florida as well. Florida operates very differently. The fiduciary responsibility of a real estate agent is much lower in Florida because most brokerages, including our own, practice transaction brokerage. So there's not we have to be really careful of what we say we're promising in these presentations. In New England, we practice buyer agency and seller agency, and we have a high level of fiduciary responsibility to our clients. And all of that is articulated in our New England presentations. For the Florida versions of some of these documents, like our Florida buyer presentation, Florida listing presentation, and Florida marketing pieces, we remove pieces of the fiduciary responsibility that we promise, because we don't want to overpromise something that we are not actually doing. So specifically, if you're a Florida agent, you need to make sure you're using the Florida versions of these pieces, as well as if you're with another brokerage or not a LAER agent, you just want to make sure that whatever presentation or marketing piece you're using matches with the type of fiduciary relationship that your brokerage practices. So just something to think about as you're creating your branding pieces. So we also have a phenomenal listing presentation. We have lots of listing presentations and buyer presentations. We also have sustainable buyer, if you are building your business around sustainability. And you have a green designation, definitely check out our green buyer and listing presentations. We have lots of different agent scripts. Let me go down here as well. There's some other cool pieces I want you guys to see.
Hey,
So,
Stace, can I just make one point for
yes,
people that aren't with LAER?
yes.
That every time you see LAER in these presentations, you can get rid of LAER, put in your own brokerage, where we've got a lot of blue and gold because that's kind of our brand. You can change colors. And Stacy, I just so it's 100% clear, right? You've been sued 3 times this last year because of Google Pics. You're not going to send LAER attorneys after them for using our information and changing it to their
Yes.
brand, right? I mean,
Yes,
yeah.
100%. So 2 things, 100%, all of this is for you guys, anybody watching this, take it and make it your own. Any of the documents that we have, by the way, we did not use any copywritten images. So, just make sure if you see a watermark across any image, just make sure you change out the image or upgrade to the paid version of Canva. But 100%, Craig, you guys can go and change out whatever you want. You can change out the colors, you can change out the logos, etc. Couple other pieces here. We have I like these. These are little like flyers of the home selling and home buying process. So it looks like a Monopoly board. I think it's cool because I love Monopoly. So this is just a flyer, but this one is the seller version of the flyer, but we also have a buyer version of it. We also have you'll see, by the way, we add to this constantly. Oh, this is a new one we recently added, a kids listing agreement. If you guys watch our Algorand training program, we say when you're working with clients, include the kids in the whole process, because that will create additional rapport with the parents. So if you're listing a property and they have children, you can include a listing agreement that the kids get to sign. Let's see. A lot of this is just really exploring. I'm going to tell you a few pieces that I think every agent should utilize from these pieces, but I want to just take you down. Like we have a buyer booklet and a seller booklet. Oh, a guide to investing. Let's see. Trusted vendor list. If you guys ever take our Algorand business growth system, we're really big into building your business around vendor partners, not only vendor partners for like mortgage and closing attorney or title company, but also all the vendors in your area, from painters to roofers to everybody. Like as you build your business, you become the Angie's List of your marketplace. You become the trusted advisor where people go to for recommendation. So we have a document that you can start building out your trusted vendor list. I also want to show you, we have a buyer guide and a seller guide. These are booklets. So let's see, this one, just the buyer booklet. This would go into like a buyer package. After you do your buyer consultation and your buyer presentation, you want to have a handout of a nice printed piece to give to the buyer. More likely a folder with a bunch of printed pieces and copies of what an offer contract looks like and stuff like that. But this is a book. So this, I think, looks really nice if you bind it. Just print it. You can print it and bind it at an office. And this one is 18 pages, and it's like all the steps of buying a house, but in booklet format. We also have that same thing in seller format. So LAER seller guide. All of these pages are customizable. As Craig said, you could change out colors and logos, but you can also delete and add pages. So if you see something that you want to really highlight in your booklet, you can do that, or you can delete out if there's something you don't agree with in our book. Totally just delete it. So this one's a 14-page seller booklet. Let's see some of the other stuff here. There's really just tons of content that you kind of have to, we have a great document. The expired listing packet is really great. Owning versus renting. So if you're targeting renters, it helps articulate how much the rent they're paying translates into a sale price for a property. So down here, if somebody's paying $2,500 in rent, that equates to a $350,000 purchase. So, and it shows them how much they spend on rent instead of putting that towards equity in their own property. We have a marketing plan, buyer intake workbooks, just tons and tons of stuff. We have a new piece we're uploading probably this weekend. I don't think it's on here just yet, but basically it's a for sale by owner booklet for those agents that are focused on for sale by owners. So all of this is at LAER Agent Services. Now let's talk about what pieces you really have to focus on. We started today and said knowledge is not power. Execution is power. So just as a reminder, we went to laeragentservices.com. We scrolled down to the marketing section, and this is the first house we visited. Guides, presentations, brochures. So that's where you can find everything we just talked about. What are the pieces that you absolutely need for your business? In my opinion, if you don't have these should be on your list of things you're going to go execute on. Number one, you need a buyer presentation. The good news is it's not going to take you 4 hours to create your buyer presentation. It's going to take you maybe a half an hour, and that's stretching it because we've already created the presentation for you. Same with the listing presentation. You need a listing presentation. In my opinion, you also need a buyer guide, a seller guide, an investor guide, because you want to, after your presentation to a buyer or seller, you want to give them something to remember you by, just a nice booklet that articulates everything that you just went through. So of all those pieces that you just saw, those, in my opinion, are the minimum standard. Like you have to have those pieces. So I would put that as number one on my list of things I was going to execute on after leaving today's program, if you don't have those pieces. So I'm going to write these down so I can remember to refresh your memory throughout today's program. Next, still under marketing, branding, and presentations, we do have NAR settlement resources. We have not removed those yet. First, when all the changes took effect in August, we wrote a booklet called the LAER playbook to all the new real estate forms. It's like a 150-page booklet, and we broke it down state by state with all of the new forms with explanations. It's still live here. Most agents don't need this anymore because you're pretty used to using all the new forms, but it is a good refresher if you need it. But also we compile articles about why it's a good idea to hire a buyer agent. So if you need documents or documentation to show why a buyer needs a buyer agent and why it's a good idea for a seller to consider paying a buyer agent fee, we have documents here, like articles that we've put together from outside sources so that it's not just you saying that a buyer needs a buyer agent. It's not you saying that a seller is hurting themselves if they're unwilling to be open to paying buyer agent fee because they end up limiting their own market. So we have all kinds of great articles and videos here so that you have resources that you can put into your packages when meeting with buyers and sellers. If you have a seller that says, hey, I'm not paying a buyer agent fee, you want to have good info. Next, if you're a LAER agent, you know that every Monday you receive all your social media pieces. We have a link here that if you want to go back and pull some of our old pieces for whatever reason, we send these to you if you're a LAER agent every week, so you don't have to come up with content for social media. We text it to you and we email it to you. But if you wanted to go back and check out our older content, you can always go back. We keep all of our content here so you can go revisit it later. Also, there's a button here for special marketing requests. This is for LAER agents. Let's say that you go through all of our materials and you don't see something that you're looking for. You can put in a special marketing request and our team will create whatever you want. So this is handy. We get agents that are like placing an ad in something, or they want to put an ad in a church bulletin, or they're hosting a charity event and they want to post about it. So we can create whatever you want as well. Under special marketing requests, there's a section that you can create a 4-page brochure for a listing. LAER will automatically on every new listing create a brochure and social media pieces for your new listing. But sometimes you get a listing that requires more than that. By the way, this month LAER sold, or I should say March, one of our agents sold a Boston waterfront condo for $7.5 million. So way to go to the Winterly team in Duxbury for an amazing sale. But that needed more than just a 1-page brochure. That needed a really nice marketing piece. You can get that under special marketing requests. The other thing that agents request quite often under special marketing requests is market update reports for social media. So let's say that you want to do a post about what's happening in the local market. Like I want a piece that tells my followers what's happening in the Chelmsford, Mass office or Chelmsford, Mass market. You can get a market update report as well. Agents will ask us here to create pieces for coming soon or off-market listings. All other LAER listings, you automatically get your marketing pieces for. You don't have to ask for it. But if you have something coming soon or off-market, we can do that here. All right, next up, open house resources. All kinds of cool stuff for open houses here. What are you gonna find under this link? A few things. Cool sign-in sheets. Like if you want different versions of sign-in sheets. For example, some agents want like more of, instead of just a sign-in sheet, they like these feedback templates. So this becomes the sign-in sheet. So instead of just having somebody sign in that they attended an open house, the agent likes this feedback sheet because this is the type of tool that can be used to go back to a seller and say, hey, a lot of the people coming through are saying that the kitchen needs too much work, or that it has no curb appeal, or that it's overpriced. So this is the type of tool that can help you with price reductions or getting a seller to do something, like maybe put a landscaper on the front yard or something like that. So as well, under here, you will see we have, we encourage you to have a whole section at your open house, like a little table set up for kids. So we have activity section here that you could print out, like coloring sheets for kids that come into an open house. All this can be customized with your branding as well, but it's really just to set up a little table. So if a family comes through your open house, that the kids can stay busy working on something so that the parents have time to actually explore the house. We also have like little popcorn popping tags. So if you want to give out a fun little giveaway at your open house, one of the things that some agents give out is popcorn, like microwave popcorn. So we created these little Canva tags that you can tape onto the popcorn, microwave popcorn, and have a basket of them. And it just says, thanks for popping by the open house. And you customize it with your name and contact information, etc. So all that's under the open house section, under marketing, branding, and presentations. We also have commercial resources. So the market has shifted over the last 18 months, and we're seeing more agents take on new niches for their business. And one such niche is the commercial real estate, agents that are diving into commercial real estate, getting to learn what that's all about. So we've created some marketing pieces, like we have a commercial listing presentation / guide that we'll open that. This is like a booklet format, and let's see. It just talks about the different, this one's about 25 pages. 25-page booklet, really focused on just commercial real estate. Sorry about my dog. The good news is that the Amazon driver's never here for more than 2 minutes, so he'll be quiet in a minute. So commercial, we also have commercial offering memorandums, commercial valuation models, LAER commercial logos. We also have a LAER commercial network. So this is open to anybody who wants to join. You don't have to be a LAER agent. It's just a form you fill out if you want to be included. We have a group that meets once a month that just talks about commercial real estate, and they bring in speakers, etc. They meet in person in Massachusetts, Chelmsford, Massachusetts, but they also stream it on Zoom. So if other agents from other areas want to participate, you can. And then at the bottom, we have some training resources around commercial real estate. Let's see. Signs, apparel, and print marketing. I'm going to come back to that because there's a lot I want to cover under the print marketing. So I'm going to come back to that in a few minutes. I do want to cover the ROAR report. This is a newsletter meant for you to customize to send out to your sphere of influence. Let's talk about newsletters for 2 seconds. In your business, there's 2 types of newsletters. One is a printed newsletter that you can hand out to people. The other is an email newsletter that somebody would receive a newsletter from you on a monthly basis with information on like home improvement tips and gardening tips and things like that. This particular newsletter is a printed newsletter. So you open it in Canva. You can do 8.5 by 11 or 11 by 17 if you want a folding 4-page newsletter. It's basically a 4-page piece. And you open it, you'll see we put big red circles around the pieces that you need to change. So you need to update your name and phone number and stuff like that. This one, all of the newsletters, we put them out monthly. They have, the content is home improvement and um, home improvement, gardening, things like that. Um, we always include something around like mortgages, and all of it can be changed. So what many of our agents do is they use this to build their vendor partnerships. So for example, we talk about this a lot in the Algorand program, which I'll share with you shortly, but one of the ways to build a very successful business is by focusing on vendor partners in your marketplace. With the ROAR report, there's some cool stuff you can do. First of all, you can feature a different vendor each month. Maybe the vendor is a mortgage person, for example, who helps you mail out your ROAR report to 200 people every month. So you feature that mortgage vendor right in your newsletter. You would just delete out a section and write a little article about the mortgage person. But also you could feature businesses. For example, your favorite pizza place. So what many agents do is they use this ROAR report to feature local businesses like a pizza joint or a coffee shop, and they'll take a picture of the place, then they'll write an little article about the place, then they'll print these out and bring them to the pizza place and say, can I leave these out for consumers? And by the way, I talk about your business being the best pizza place in town. I think I said last month, I was at the hardware store in my town in Littleton, Massachusetts, and I was delighted to see right at the front register, one of our agents has a brochure holder with the ROAR report right at the front register at the local hardware store. So basically, she did exactly what we're saying here, like feature the business within your ROAR report and then go ask if you can leave it at their place of business so that somebody picks it up and you get a client out of it. So all of that's under the ROAR report. We put out a new one at the end of the month for the next month. So end of April, you'll see the May one come out. We have a whole section of LAER logos and images. We also have a whole section of pop-by tags. One of the pieces we talk about within the Algorand program is getting out and visiting past clients, friends, family, and always bringing a small item of value so that you can put your card, your contact information. So for example, Easter is coming. You could do the Easter peeps. Go in and you customize these. These are tags to put on a little box of peeps. So you can go deliver those at open houses. The other one that I think is great is just seeds. So going out and buying some packets of seeds and printing out these little labels customized to you so that you can have something to give to somebody. It was a little hard to see. Okay, your referrals make my business bloom, and just put your name and contact information. So you'll see we have a whole bunch of different tags to choose from, and most of our agents just customize, print at the office, and tape it or tie it to the item of value. So tons of them to choose from, and all of that is under the pop-by tag section of our marketing section. Two other pieces I want to point out for everybody. Number one is the listing description generator. One area that agents sometimes labor for too long over is coming up with a great listing description for their new listing. Well, we have a phenomenal listing description generator. By the way, you don't have to be a LAER agent to use it. You just put in how many paragraphs you want, what is your email address, what is the address of the property, and then it asks you some questions about features of the property, and you press send. or submit, and it then just emails you an amazing property description. Usually in like 30 seconds, you'll receive it, and it's a phenomenal listing description. So LAER does not actually receive it. We don't receive an email copy of it. It just goes to you. I always tell agents just to read through it to make sure there's no fair housing compliance issues. It is all based off of AI. So you do want to make sure that you read through it and make sure it doesn't have like walking distance to parks or something like that that could be construed as a fair housing violation, because I've seen AI not pick up stuff like that. So you definitely have to read through it. But other than that, it creates a phenomenal listing description. Same with agent bio. One of my pet peeves in this business is it drives me insane when real estate agents don't have a great photo and a great bio. A bio is your resume. And what we are in the business of is applying for jobs every single day. You would not show up at a job interview in corporate America without a resume. And yet many real estate agents don't have a great bio. So when somebody Googles their name, the consumer sees all these links and you click on them and there's not a great photo and there's not a great bio. So we created this to help prompt agents to write a great bio. So this bio generator, you fill it all out and it will email you a phenomenal bio. It only takes 5 minutes to create something really spectacular. What we say in the algorithm program is if you Googled you, would you hire you? Something really to think about, because in the day and age that we live today, the first thing somebody does when they meet somebody new is they Google them. So you do it if your son brings home a new girlfriend, probably the first thing you're going to do is Google the person. Well, if the next door neighbor says, hey, you have to hire Stacy to sell your house, probably the first thing that the neighbor's going to do is Google Stacy and see what they see. So one of the things that you should add to your list of things that you're going to go execute on when you leave today is Google you. What many agents don't realize is that on the first page of your Google search, when you Google like your name and real estate, some of the things that are going to show up: your brokerage website, because you've been indexed to that site. If you have a personal website, your Facebook page is going to show up, as well as realtor.com, homes.com, and Zillow. All will typically show your agent profile on the first page of a Google search. And you're going to say, I don't remember setting up a realtor.com profile. That's because you didn't. They set it up for you. You can go in and update it. So what happens is when you join real estate, all these services create a bio page for you. They do it because that's one of the algorithms they use for getting leads, believe it or not, is your name. So they create these bio pages for you, and oftentimes they don't update it. So whoever you started in real estate is usually the company that is listed as the brokerage you work for. Also, there's a place for your photo, a place for you to give a great bio about who you are. A lot of these sites show up on the first page of a Google search when you Google your name. So it's important to go update them and put a good photo, put a good bio, so that when somebody receives your name and they Google your name, that they see that you have your act together, that all these pages have a great photo, a great bio, because what they think about, like especially a seller, is if you can't make your own bio look good, how are you going to make their listing look good? So really important. That's why I'm going to add it to the list of the top 5 things you're going to go execute on after you leave today's program, is you're going to go Google you. Anyways, we made it easy with the agent bio generator. So with that, I have only covered a small portion of today's program, and we have gone through a great deal of information on marketing, branding, and presentations. I think now what we'll do is we'll bring out Craig Foley, who is our Chief Sustainability Officer. He keeps all of our, not only our agents, but I saw last week he bailed somebody out of an issue on a solar panel. I don't know what happened. I can only imagine, because he's done it for many of our agents too, that we keep trying to send the message, get your green designation, because if you don't have a green designation, in the world we live in today, there are so many potential issues tied to sustainability, like a solar panel contract, that you're not properly representing your buyer or seller if you don't understand the nuances of it. And all it takes is getting a green designation. And with that, I'll introduce Craig, our Chief Sustainability Officer, who helps many of our real estate agents stay out of real estate jail.
Thank you, Stacy.
Yep.
Yeah, and many people may not know this, but you're a green designated agent as
Yeah,
well.
exactly.
And I'm gonna bump you here in
Yep.
your presentation and go to our most recent newsletter, company newsletter, the sustainability segment, which you write. You do a great job with this. And I thought this was phenomenal, Stacy. You know, usually when I do the presentation at boot camp, I have up my own little slide deck and talk about the fact that LAER really is a national leader in this space, in terms of helping our agents be able to advance this and make this be a really legitimate part of their business. The fact that we're trying to engage consumers in this space as well, that show them that we have really something special to offer, and that is so much because of the work that you've done, Stacy, to make this be part of our brand and culture at LAER Realty Partners. But I thought this piece that you wrote was really, really important and pertinent to what you just said, right? I got a referral fee from an agent in Winchendon who, this is what you were specifically talking about, where after the property had gone under contract, there was a purchase and sales agreement, there was an appraisal done, and the appraisal came in $30,000 short of what the buyer and seller agreed upon. And the agreement between the buyer and seller was they were going to split that cost, which the buyer wasn't thrilled about, having to bring in an additional $15,000 to closing. So the buyer's agent had taken one of the classes that I teach called Selling the Sun, which is all about residential real estate brokerage, selling a home with solar PV, with solar panels on the rooftop or on the ground, and said, you know, this guy, Craig Foley, knows how to add contributory value. Why don't you reach out to him? So the listing agent reached out to me. We went through the process, going through the PV value tool, and we found out that the solar panels did, in fact, have significant contributory value that the listing agent didn't realize in listing the home, that was greater than the delta between the appraisals.
Wow.
So I guided her to challenging the appraisal, how to do that, how to require a qualified appraisal. So there's a set of appraisers in every state that have gone through the Valuation of Sustainable Buildings program. Again, you highlight that here in the sustainability segment. We reappraised that property, and with the additional contributory value, it solved the problem of the $30,000 worth of missing funds. So the buyer was thrilled that they didn't have to bring $15,000 to the closing. The seller was thrilled because they're not losing $15,000 upon the agreed upon price. And this was all because the agent, who fortunately, she's very, very smart, got up to speed on this very quickly. And I told her, you know, from the referral fee that I received when I teach the green designation, if she shows up in for Greater Boston Association of Realtors in June, when we finish the class, I will give her a check for the green for what she paid for the green designation. So, you know, we're trying to make this stuff be a win-win. But at the same time, you know, I had an agent from our company reach out to me a couple days ago saying, hey, I'm bringing a property to market the next couple of days, and they've got an agreement with a solar provider. They've got a loan. They're not sure if they want to pass it off, or can the buyer assume that? And I said, well, the devil's in the details of that agreement, so you need to get that to me. But more importantly, you're leaving money on the table for the seller. And she's like, what? What are you
Hmm.
talking about? And I look, you're going to list this in a couple days. You've already agreed upon a list price, right? And you clearly haven't understood that there's a process here for adding contributory value using an income approach for this property. Or if the appraisal comes in short, you have a way to be able to deal with some of those shortages. And she was blown away. Even as much as we try to give this out to our agents, Stacy, we still have people out there that don't understand what's going on. And it's so important in this space right now that, I mean, this is liability for you, Stace,
Mhm.
obviously. You know, I mean, if you're leaving money on the table, it's the worst thing that
Right.
we can do as an agent out there. So, you know, again, your stuff here is fantastic. I just thought this was a really, really well written little segment about our responsibility, our you know, and our confidence in the language that we use, how we talk about solar PV. All of this stuff is covered in the National Association of Realtors Green Designation. So there's no excuse for any team at LAER or any team in the United States at this point to not get their green designation. And, you know, I teach this all over the place. I was in Alaska in February teaching the green designation. But the cool thing here is I'm going to throw this link in the chat. Is every 3 years we get funded to rewrite the green designation for the National Association of Realtors. And I'm honored that the Center for Real Estate Development asked me to teach the new class, this upcoming class, where we've really significantly changed the content from the green designation, even that you took a year and a half ago, because so much has changed between 2021 and 2024 when we rewrote the green designation. So this is the national class offered via on Zoom. And let me just throw it in the chat here so you have access to this. It doesn't matter what state that you're in, whether you're a Florida agent or a Connecticut agent with us or Massachusetts agent. This is the new national class. It will be recorded because it will be the tool that we use to teach the teachers how to teach the class as well, Stacy. So it's a super big honor to be asked to lead this class with the brand new content that we have that I think is really phenomenal. So here's a great way for you. You know, it's 2 full days too. This is a significant. I mean, this isn't a tree hugger class, by the way. As Stacy has already noted, it's really about valuation, particularly day 2. The changes in building science, all the new technology in day 1, heat pumps, solar PV, ground source heat pumps. We go through all of that stuff so that you're more confident that you in your language, you're more fluent in this space. And then day 2 is about marketing, valuing these properties, and making this be part of your business. I'm really excited about the new content, Stace, and I hope that people will jump on board here and get their green designation. Another opportunity, and I'll throw this one in the chat too. You know, the teaching the class nationally is really great. I'm honored to be able to do that, but it's on Zoom. You know, I much prefer teaching the class live, like you took when in Auburn, Stacy. And I'll be teaching the green designation, and this is a little more cost effective as well. It's a little cheaper than the national course, June 17th and 18th for Greater Boston Association of Realtors at their Reading, Massachusetts facility. And that's a live classroom presentation, which I think is superior to the online because you actually develop, I mean, the classroom interaction is fantastic. The questions from the students in the classroom, the interaction between the students is worth its weight in gold as far as I'm concerned. So if you're a Massachusetts agent or a Connecticut agent and you're fine with getting a hotel room as well, you know, take the live presentation that we're doing June 17th and 18th. at Greater Boston Association of Realtors. And this stuff is definitely moving forward at a very, very fast pace. Here's a bill, Stacy, that was forwarded by Sandy Adamatis, who you know, she's last year's president from the Appraisal Institute, a new bill being brought to Congress, and bills take, 2 or 3 congressional sessions oftentimes to move forward. But this is a bill that would require accurate energy appraisals, homes with significant energy efficiency features that the appraiser would need to be a valuation of sustainable buildings appraiser by law, and that the mortgage underwriter, in whatever information that the appraiser gives about the added contributory value, the mortgage underwriter would have to accept that. They couldn't deny that if this legislation passes. So this stuff is all over the place at a federal level, national level, obviously at the state level. And if you go down to, this is a great resource that we talk a lot about in the green designation. This is the Green Building Registry. So I live in Melrose, Massachusetts. It's a pretty small little city. It's a mile wide by 2 miles long. And there's about 6,000 properties in there. And you can see on the Green Building Registry, and if you Google Green Building Registry, you can find this. There are 664 homes in Melrose, about 11% of our housing stock, that have significant green building improvements. And look, if I start to scroll down on this, I can actually find my home here. And show you what it does. It shows you that I have a HERS score of 59 on my home, that I have a Pearl Gold certification for the home. So there's a whole Pearl certification is one of our great partners at LAER Realty Partners. This is a certification for existing homes that have significant green building improvements. You can see this is an 1895 Victorian that my wife and I own. And we did a significant energy efficiency upgrade a few years on the home, and it's registered in the registry. So you can see the address, and if you're smart, you can figure out who owns that property and start to market to some of these folks on the Green Building Registry in your particular location. So I just can't emphasize enough, Stace, how important, just from a liability perspective, but how this work, this intersection of sustainability and real estate, if you really get to the place where you're starting to embrace this and take the green designation, this can really make a significant difference in your business as well, because this stuff is emerging so quickly. So I wanted to jump off from what I usually do and just highlight some of the opportunities that are out there for agents to be able to do this, Stace, and how important it is right now in the marketplace. What an opportunity it is, but also, the stick part of this is that there's significant liability for listing these homes if you don't know what you're doing. If you've got a home with solar PV, I think personally, and this is not something that is part of our, a requirement at LAER, but I just think you need to be sending that out as a referral to a green designated agent that knows what they're doing and can service that client the way that they deserve to be serviced.
I agree. I will say, and I've said this over the last year or so, that I've now been a broker for about 25 years, and never have I seen a time in our industry where it is so litigious. So, I mean, for 20 plus years, we never saw a lawsuit as a company. Like, it was just so rare to get sued over something. Now it's like every month there's something. And I think that it's just society in general. I also think that because of the NAR lawsuits, that people are just quick to say, well, my real estate agent didn't tell me this, or my real estate agent didn't tell me that. So I strongly urge, in every aspect of your business, because I've even said, like, a portion of every month is just, I have to be at depositions and stuff like that over stupid stuff. So imagine that you took a listing and it had solar panels and you had no idea that that owned solar system on top of the roof contributed a great deal of value to the property. So you compared the house next door that just sold and you said, oh, that house sold for 500, so mine must be worth 500 because they look the same. They're the same size, but yours has an owned solar system on top of solar PV on top of the property. So imagine that then your client finds out a year later that their house was not actually worth the same amount as the house directly next door. Then we get sued. But even beyond getting sued, I mean, I would just feel bad as a human that that they that would have paid their entire commission on a property to to have that information and know that the property is worth more money now. So it's what we're in the business for. This is what great real estate agents do. And the best real estate agents are really good at doing due diligence. And part of the due diligence when it comes to sustainability is get your green designation. So I will tell you, I sat through the 2-day class and I don't even sell real estate, but it's that important that you need to realize how all of this plays out in your business so that when a buyer or seller comes to you, you can talk in an educated way. And always assume, I say this in general on every real estate transaction, just assume that you might get sued on this transaction. So what can you do to best protect yourself? Go get the green designation. There's so much really great content in there that even if you're not into sustainability, you'll have a new appreciation for everything, like even climate change and how that's affecting our industry and all the new technologies that are coming out. Like if you're if you're doing any new construction sales, you should know what LEED certified means and what are the new technologies on everything. So I think it's kind of like a minimum standard for becoming a real estate agent is getting the green designation. So that's my 2 cents, Craig.
Yeah, well, it looks like Ella and Lindsay I might see in class. Ella said that's the one designation I want, green. So you got 2 places, Ella, where you can take the green designation in those links. The national one is the first one. And then if you're a Massachusetts realtor, I'd love to see you in class in Reading, Massachusetts, June 17th and 18th. So a couple opportunities there for you. Love to see you. And please introduce yourself.
All right, awesome stuff. Thanks, Craig.
You got it.
All right, let's go back. I'm going to have Sergio come on in a minute. Before I do that, though, I want to, Sergio is going to give you guys like a quick overview of some of the marketing resources available at LAER. Even though we spent the last hour and 42 minutes going through marketing, don't worry, we still have more. But I want to go through a few other things before we get there. By the way, I'm going to do a quick recap on the 3 things you should execute on. Because the goal of today is to have 5 items that you're going to go execute on in your business. So when you leave here today, because we don't want anybody sitting through 3 hours of training classes and not go do something in their business with all that great content. So the 3 things that I would execute on is a buyer presentation, seller presentation, and then a buyer guide, seller guide, investor guide. I put those all under one because we've done most of the work for you. You could have all 5 of those done in less than 1 hour with everything that we've created. So that's 1. Number 2, you're going to go Google you. So I said, make sure you Google you and see what comes up and then go update those pages. So like on the first page of a Google search, if realtor.com is first, go update your realtor.com profile. If you don't know how to do it, Google it. Just say, how do I update my realtor.com profile? Everybody on this call has a realtor.com, Zillow.com, and homes.com profile. And you do not have to be a paid member of any of those companies to update your profile. So typically, some of those pages will come up on the first page of a Google search. third, I'm going to put on the third thing you should execute is go get your green designation. Just get it out of the way. There's so much great content. And by the way, when I took the green designation, one of the things that came out of it, because I like to execute on stuff, I don't want to just sit in a class and then not do anything with it. But Craig and I worked on coming up with a sustainable listing presentation and a sustainable buyer presentation. And all of that is in the guides, presentations, brochures. So you can go check out those as well. So
Well,
those.
the other element of this, Stacy, that I just want to highlight here, I know we're going on forever about the green designation, but your footprint is all over the green designation, this new upcoming content, right? So one of the great things I've learned from you is this idea that knowledge is not power, execution is power. So we've added to the new green designation an accountability checklist so that as you take in the knowledge that you're getting over the 2 days of the green designation, you're creating your own checklist and writing them down as one-time things you're going to do weekly, monthly, quarterly, so that you have a whole attack list about how to make this be part of your business. I'm one of the 3 people that rewrite the green designation. That's all because of you and your work on accountability that I've learned so much from, that's ended up in the green designation. So I just want to thank you for everything you do and your leadership.
That's awesome. I can't wait to see it. Maybe I'll have to take it again just to see
Yeah.
how it's shifted. Okay, next piece I want to go to, I'm still up at the marketing section because there's a little piece that I didn't want to go through just yet, and that's under signs, apparel, and print marketing. So when you land on this page, first of all, if you're a LAER agent, we have like some links here where you can go order signs, open house signs, for sale signs, etc. We also have some cool pages for apparel. So if you want LAER apparel, you can go buy that. But really what I wanted to bring you down to is the print marketing. So one of the areas that you can really stand out as a real estate agent is print marketing. I think print marketing is a valuable tool only because we live in a day and age where even like email is so overwhelming. There's so much content coming through email that it's hard to be noticed. So as a real estate agent, you can't be just emailing people and expect to remain top of mind with your clients. I do think you should have email as part of a strategy in growing your business, but also there should be something else, which is print marketing, because there's less competition when it comes to the print marketing piece of it. So there's 5 companies that I highly recommend. Actually, I'm going to pull up a presentation because it shows you all 5 of these, but what makes each one a little bit special. So let me just pull up my presentation. And yes, I got another Amazon delivery. Let's see. I made a little tiny presentation just on these 5 tools, only because I think that they provide a great deal of value. But let's see if I can get my hands on it really quick. If not, we'll just go back to the. There we go. Okay. Resharing. All right. So marketing and branding technology. First of all, I like to always start by saying I don't get paid by any of these companies. So when I am promoting them, it's not because they're paying me a residual or anything like that. It's only because I think they're really good products for your business. So first off is mlsmailings.com. I'm going to tell you to add this to your top 5 things to do, to execute on if you don't already have it. But basically what MLS mailings is postcard mailings for just listed and just sold postcards. And it's with a little twist though. This company hooks directly to your MLS so that you set it up once. It's a set it and forget it system. By the way, anytime in your business you can find a set it and forget it system, sign up. Because as you grow your business, the biggest challenge you will have is scalability. Being able to get past a particular point in your business. So it's really important that you have systems and protocols and tools that are working for you, even when you're not working those tools and systems. So MLS mailings, they're just listed, just sold postcards. They do a nice print quality. It's basically $100 roughly for 100 postcards. So you can do standard size postcards for $96, or you can do jumbo postcards for 127. That's to send 100. And they send them to the immediate vicinity. You pick how many. I think 100 is a good number. They send them to everybody in the immediate vicinity of the house that you just listed or just sold. But the big piece I love about this is you only set it up once. You put your picture, your contact information, your logo, and every time you list a property, it'll automatically send you an email and it'll say, we see you listed a property. Here's the postcards we're going to send. You can stop it, but why would you want to? Just have it automatically go out on your new listings and solds. So set it and forget it, mlsmailings.com. This one is also a game changer. This is The Personal Marketing Co., TPMCO. This is a company that does a stay in touch campaign with your sphere of influence for 5 years. So this is really important for when you close on a transaction, that you put your consumer after the closing. You pay $48, a one-time charge of $48, which includes all the postage and everything. You put the person into a 5-year campaign so that even if you forget to stay in touch with that person, they are hearing from you for 5 years. And you'll see it's a mix. Some of the mailers are a postcard, some are a letter, some are a magazine with your picture and your contact information. So why is this so important? First of all, the direct mail response rates are 5 to 9 times higher than traditional advertising. So you will get a much higher open rate, like 90% of people actually get their mail and see the piece that you have created. But also, I wanted to give you guys a stat, if I can find it here. There was an interesting stat around, oh, I don't think I have it. There's an interesting stat from the, oh, here it is. 89% of buyers would use their agent again or recommend the agent to others. However, only 11% of homeowners actually do that. So that means that 89% of the people you work with after you close on a property, if they had a choice, they would use you again. But what the National Association of Realtors tells us is that only 11% actually use their real estate agent again. That is because many agents are not staying in touch with the client after they close, because we're on to the next transaction. So really important that you have a system in place so that once you close on a transaction and you're moving on to the next deal that you're working on, that you're staying in touch with the people who already know, like, and would absolutely use you again if they remember who you are. So this is a 5-year campaign. Over 5 years, they get 21 mailings from you. They're all different types. So some of them are magazines, some are postcards. A one-time charge of $48. I promise you, you will make your money back tenfold. by making sure that nobody that you sell a house to is ever forgotten for the following 5 years. So that one's tpmco.com, the personal marketing company. Number 3, Wise Pelican. I love Wise Pelican mailers. What I love most is, first of all, if you're a LAER agent and you go to Wise Pelican, when you're designing your pieces, you just select LAER Realty and it has hundreds of pieces, all branded with our logo, our colors, etc. But Wise Pelican has a few other really cool pieces I love about it. Number 1, they have a system that they'll create a landing page for you, because one of the things many postcards forget is to have a call to action. They help you create a call to action so that a consumer can ask for a free home value report, and it goes into a little database that you get notified to give that person a home value report. Also, what I love about it is you can create your list from right within the Wise Pelican system. So if you want to do a neighborhood mailing, you can actually pull the neighborhood list right from Wise Pelican. Third, if you're doing a postcard mailing, for example, about your new listing, you could just load it all from MLS. So one of their design features is it hooks directly to your MLS, so you don't have to rewrite content, you don't have to drop and drag photos. It'll pull everything right from your MLS. So all of that is at wisepelican.com. Number 4 is RSPUSA.com. A lot of our Florida agents use this company. It does a lot of cool things. One of the main pieces I love about it is they have a system, they call them fast track postcards. But let's say you want to have an expired campaign. They have a system, you can build a campaign so that somebody will get a card from you like every week. Like, for example, you can see here they have one that's, if you want 8 cards mailed over 8 weeks, agents that use this are typically doing expired. So they create like an expired listing campaign where the consumer isn't just getting one postcard, because every real estate agent, not every, but many real estate agents are sending one letter or one postcard, but you become noticed because you're sending 8 postcards over 8 weeks to the expired listing. Number 5, Xiaomi on-demand showing agents. Really cool technology for you guys to consider. Xiaomi is an app. Let's say that you need somebody to show a property for you on Saturday. If you're a LAER agent, usually you can find one of your LAER family members to do it for you. But if you can't, just go to Xiaomi. You can hire somebody on demand, real estate agents. They sign a slew of paperwork, so they can't take your customer from you. But you can hire them. You select what you're willing to pay the agent. And it sends out a notification to real estate agents in the marketplace. I also like Xiaomi because if you're an agent who doesn't have a lot of business, you could sign up as a Xiaomi agent to make some extra money showing properties for people. The next one is Exposio, which is a app for re-exposing photos. I'm a huge fan of doing professional photography on every new listing, because when you take a listing, you're actually auditioning for your next listing. So that's why you should be using professional photography on every listing. But if you're using iPhone photos, at a minimum, use the Exposio app, because it makes your iPhone photos look closer to professional photography. It's still not the same. I've tried it on a property I was selling just to see what the difference was, and I ended up hiring a professional photographer, because no matter what, professional photography is nicer. But Exposio, you basically take all the photos of the property on your phone, you then upload them into the app, it then re-exposes all the photos, and then you pick the ones that you want to buy. And they charge around $1 per exposed. You can then download the ones that you've purchased and then upload them into MLS. They do give discounts if you like sign up for a package, but on average, it's about $1 per exposed photo. Yellow Letters Complete is also a great product for handwritten note cards. Many of you utilize handwritten notes in your business just to send a note to, maybe, for example, Mother's Day is coming up and you want to send out just a handwritten note to everybody in your database for Mother's Day. Yellow Letters Complete can do that for you. They have two options. They'll either do an AI generated handwritten note card, or they'll actually have people handwrite the note cards for you. It's two different prices. All of it's at yellowletterscomplete.com. Also a big fan of Markful. Markful is a cool place for getting print stuff, especially for LAER, but also apparel, stuff like that. Also, we've had homes.com come on and do a couple presentations for our agents. If you're interested, you can go learn about it at our YouTube station at youtube.com/layer training. I'm a fan of homes.com because I like that the calls go to the listing agent. But at a minimum, every agent should sign up for your homes.com profile because that's free. So you want to be on the homes.com website no matter what, but they also have some paid options for agents that want to get extra noticed on their platforms. So those are let's see, those are some of the cool technologies that I wanted to share with you. And next I'm going to have Sergio come on. He's just going to give you a quick rundown of an overview of the marketing resources available at LAER. It's only about 5 minutes. And then I'm going to dig into some training, coaching, education tools that we have. And then we'll have Ashley do a quick rundown on Real Scout so you could see how that can change your business. So with that, I will invite Sergio on.
All right, thanks, Stacy. I'm going to share my screen. And before I start, I think there was a question in the chat. I think about the last section. Karen Foster asks, are these in the order of what you prefer? I think she's referring to the...
Oh, the technologies?
Yeah.
It's a good question. Not really. I like them all, but I would definitely say the ones that are a must, in my opinion, are MLS mailings because it's set it and forget it. So you set it up once, it's done. The other is tpmco.com, the personal marketing company, only because I've seen it. I was at a neighborhood cookout in my neighborhood, and everybody in my neighborhood has been here for about 13 years. And I asked everybody, all my neighbors, there's about 20 people in the neighborhood, who was your real estate agent when you bought the house? I can't even tell you how many. Almost none of them could remember who their real estate agent was. I was like, holy cow, the National Association of Realtors stat is 100% right, that real estate agents in general don't follow up with the person after closing. So I would say tpmco.com is a no-brainer for 48 bucks. So with that, I'll let you take over, Sergio.
Thanks, Stacy. I'm just going to cover a couple of programs that we have for our LAER agents. This is open to agents of all brokerages, but the next two things are specifically for LAER agents, so I'll be quick. First is the LAER marketing bundle. So as a LAER agent, when you have a listing and it goes live on the MLS, our team gets to work. We create this whole marketing bundle for your listing. So this includes a brochure, as well as social media pieces that follow the whole transaction of your listing. So from just listed all the way to sold. They're delivered to you as ready to use PDFs and images, but we also give you Canva templates. Stacy was talking about Canva earlier. Any kind of marketing that you see, any kind of designs, presentations, that you see here at LAER, we always create them in Canva. It just makes it easy for us to share those original designs with you. We're just sending you a link to a template where you can use it on your own account. We're not sending you files or anything like that. So because it's all in the cloud, it's easier to manage. Things aren't getting lost. So let me give you a live demo of the marketing bundle. So you'll receive an email that looks just like this. It'll have the address, and then it says your concierge marketing package. You'll see 3 links. The first 2 links are for Canva templates, and then the third link is to download the bundle. So if we click on the download bundle, these are the ready-to-use pieces. So we include a single page flyer with the photos. Now these are created in Canva. These are created within 24 hours of your listing going live. The reason for that is that we actually make these in Canva. We choose the photos. We'll touch up your description. We'll run it through Grammarly, make sure that nothing is spelled incorrectly. We try to make sure that we choose the best photos for your brochure, and then we send it out to you. Now, there's a lot of automated programs that will send it, the minute you go live on the MLS. But if you maybe switch the photo order around, or if there's any kind of mistakes in the description, you don't have a chance to edit those, right? So that's why we send you those Canva templates. Now these are ready to use. Here's a PDF, right? You can download this and print it out at any of our offices, or you can send them out to be printed professionally at like a FedEx Kinko's or Staples. We have social media pieces. These are PNGs. These are images that you can download. Now, if you open up this email on your phone, you can download these as images and then post directly from your phone to social media. And then we have, with every single bundle, we include a LAER brochure. This is just a basic brochure giving information about LAER, right? We have a simple open house sign-in sheet. And then for our listings, we have, we have our preferred closing partners, both for New England and Florida. Let's go back to our email. Now, the other 2 links go to Canva templates. So as long as you're signed into Canva, and we try to make it so for, in particular, the listing bundles, you can use it with the free version of Canva. You're able to go in and make changes yourself. So I just clicked on this link. I'm already signed into Canva in this browser. So as long as you're signed in, click on the link. It will open right up, right? This is a live listing, so I'm going to make a copy, but let me show you how easy it is to make changes to your brochure here. If there's a price change further down the line, it's very easy. Just click over the box and type in your new price. And then you can switch out any of these photos by going to uploads. We can upload a new photo from my computer here. So I'm just going to upload some sample images. They're not actually of this listing itself. Once they have completed uploading, let's say I want a picture of this bedroom here. These are all drag and drop, so you can just drag and drop it into the frame that you want. You can adjust within the frame by double clicking, maybe sliding it this way so there's less of the ceiling. And that's it, you're done. You can change around any of the images, the photos, the logo, your own photo. And then when you're ready to use these, we can click on share and then download. We can download this as a PDF to print. And just like that, we're able to, now we have an updated flyer, which we can print out. In this case, if there is a price change, right? Now, let's go back to our email. We have links to social media pieces as well. Like I mentioned, it goes from new listing, featured, under agreements, open house, sold. Now, there's two that we don't include initially, just because we don't have that information yet. We have a new price. So like I mentioned before, if there is a price change, and then we have one that is an open house, but it includes the date and time. So if there is a new price, again, it's really easy to just click in the box, add in the new price. We can then click share. We can download this as a PNG. You can also take advantage of the Canva app on your phone. You can open up any of these designs and download directly to your phone. But Canva also has an option to post directly to social media. So if we go back to share and then see all, you'll notice there's tons of options. But if we scroll down to social, we'll click see all on social as well. You're able to select any of these channels, for example, Facebook, and then choose the image you want to use. So let's say you have an open house. I'll choose the open house one. This one's connected to this Facebook page. You just write down your description and hit publish, and it will publish directly to your social media account. If you have Canva Pro, you can click on schedule, and then this will schedule out the posts to go. But you can post directly to social media with the free version of Canva. Down here, we have some other resources. One of them is to order a 4-page brochure. Now, to order a 4-page brochure, just fill out this information, this form. Most importantly is if you can share at least 16 photos with us. Now, the 4-page brochure looks just like this. This is if you have a nice luxury property, you went out and got drone shots and everything. We can feature your property. We can feature all the photos you got on this nice brochure that prints out on 11 by 17, and then it's folded in half. Now, we don't create these for every listing, but you can order one by going to this form. And again, upload at least 16 photos and our team can make one for you. Okay, and then, so that is the LAER marketing bundle. Now, again, this goes out to you within 24 hours of your listing going live on the MLS. If you don't see it, let us know. The best way of reaching out to our team is happyagents@laerrealty.com. We can make sure it gets out to you. The next thing I'm going to cover is another program that we have specifically for our LAER agents. This is called the LAER Social Media Assistant. Now, this is a program that we have where we send out 7 to 10 social media pieces every week that you can use to do social media marketing throughout the whole week. We send them out on Monday morning, so you can take some time on Monday morning and schedule out your posts. You can use them however you'd like. We have nice, compelling images. They're all real estate related. We'll do some major holidays, but we won't do specific like National Taco Day because you can kind of get those anywhere. You can get those on Canva. The pieces that we give you are more real estate related. We also include suggested captions and hashtags. So sometimes you will sign up for a service. Well, they'll give you social media pieces, but they only give you an image, and then you don't really know what to say. We give you the image, but we also give you a caption that almost reads like a mini article. It's informative. It helps with engagement too on your social media. Now, this is delivered to you via email and text message every morning. You don't have to keep getting the text message. You can just reply stop, but you will always receive that email. So let's do a live demo of that. You pull this over. So like I said, you'll get an email that looks just like this. This is the beginning of the month, so we include some Facebook covers. Now you can use these all as is. You can just click on this download button. It'll download directly to your computer. But you also have Canva templates for any of these. So if you want to use our Facebook cover here, but maybe you want to change it to a different image, you can do so by just clicking on Edit in Canva. Now these are our pieces here, our social media for the week. Now, like I mentioned, we have a suggested caption as well as hashtags. We even have a section here where you can provide your contact information. Now you don't have to, you can add or remove to it as you see fit. And then we have our image. So let's do a test post here. I'm going to click on Edit in Canva. And again, these are templates. Whenever you open up a Canva template, it's yours. Any changes you make to this template, you only see on your account unless you share it with us. You know, you can share this with our Happy Agent team and ask for help. Now, if you ever lose this or you accidentally delete something, you can always go back to this original email, click Edit in Canva, and then click Open Template. And this will open up a fresh new template. Now, for example, I want to change over this image here of our home interior. Let's do a different search. And I'm going to search all of the stock images that Canva has available. It helps if you spell it right. There we go. Let's say I want to replace it with this. And just like that, and drag and drop, I have Canva Pro, so anything that has the crown I can use. But you're able to, choose some that are free. For example, this one here doesn't have the crown. I can just move it over, and I can use the free version. Now I can click on Share, Download. I can download this as a PNG and post directly on social media. But I can also click on See All, down to Social, and I can post directly on any of these channels, so Facebook, Instagram, whatever I have connected. I can also schedule my post. Like I mentioned, we send these out on Monday, so you can take some time on Monday to schedule everything out on Canva. Now you don't have to use Canva. There are plenty of other content schedulers that you can use with our social media posts that we send out to you. But this makes it really easy. So let's say I want this to go out on Tuesday at 12, right? I'll click Next. I'm going to select my channel, which in this case is Facebook. Now my caption, then I can go back here, grab my suggested caption. I'm just going to copy this and we're going to paste it. Now, like I mentioned, you can add or remove to this. So let's say I'm going to remove some of these hashtags, and then you can add your contact information if you'd like, and then hit schedule. Now this will render out a copy of your design, and then we can check our content planner, and we'll see that it has been scheduled for Tuesday. I can modify it later if something changes. I can save it as a draft, but this view here has a whole calendar that you can sit here on Monday and schedule everything out. Now, in particular, the content planner is a feature of Canva Pro, but I think the price of Canva Pro, which I think now has gone up to around $15 a month, and I think it's still worth it just to have the content planner feature. Now, like I mentioned earlier, you get this by email every Monday morning. This is for LAER agents in particular. If you don't see it, if you don't see this email on Monday morning, let us know. You can email in happyagent@laerrealty.com and we can make sure it gets out to you. And that's it for me.
All right. Awesome stuff. Thank you, Sergio. All right. We have 40 minutes left and still so much content to cover. Let me go back to our LAER Agent Services page. Okay, we're back at our LAER Agent Services dashboard, and I'm happy to say 2 hours and 20 minutes into the program, we've covered all of the marketing and branding information. There's just so much here for you guys to really dig into. I do want to go down. I have 5 things that I think you should execute on. One is the buyer, seller presentation, plus the buyer guide, seller guide, investor guide. Number 2, Google you. When you leave today, go Google you and update anything that shows on the first page of a Google search. Number 3, green designation. If you don't have that, I'd put that on the calendar as a must do for 2025. Number 4, MLSmailings.com, so that you have just listed, just sold postcards going out every time you list and every time you sell a house. Set it up, set it and forget it. Number 6, TPMCO, the personal marketing company. So that you put everybody who you close a transaction with into a 5-year mailing campaign, so that they will always remain top of mind when they're thinking about a real estate agent. Next, I want to take you over to our agent growth and development section. So first, it's basically 3 windows that you can click on, or 3 houses. The first one is classes, meetings, and coaching. So, couple things to check out here. First of all, our LAER University, or YouTube. I'd say YouTube station is actually the more important of the two. YouTube.com/LAER training. If you have not done this already, just subscribe. Just get this out of the way right now, because we have so much training content. And by subscribing to our YouTube station, you'll never miss anything. You'll always get just a little notification when we add a new class, which is always every week we have new classes that we add. So just subscribe to our station. Go to youtube.com/LAER training, hit the little subscribe button. That way you never miss out on any content that classes we're offering. Also, we have 2 training calendars here. One is our live training calendar. It's just a Google Calendar where you can go check out what classes we have coming up. As you can see, it's pretty robust. Almost every day there's training classes. You can click on any of these and they'll tell you how to sign up for the class, but usually you just need to know what time to show up. So if the class is at 12:30, then you show up at 12:30 and go to laerzoom.com. And that is where we live stream the class. Next, we have a printable training calendar. So if you're a LAER agent, we send this out at the beginning of the month, but this one's really nice just because it's all printed and you can hang it up by your desk and see all the tools and resources. You have like all the upcoming training classes so that you never miss anything. And let's see, LAER coaching, I'll talk about that in a moment. We do have a phenomenal coaching program that is centered around the Algorand program, which I'll show you the Algorand program in a second. And we have a new agent resource center with some great tools. So if you're a newer agent, we've created a whole book on a real estate agent's guide to home inspection. It's like a 60-page book on the mechanical systems of real estate. We also wrote a booklet on lead paint. We wrote a booklet on procure and cause. These little help guides are amazing. So we have one on antitrust. We have one on Connecticut law best practices, Maine law best practices. We also have a guide to real estate agent safety. So there's all kinds of really cool little guides built into there. And that's for under our new agent resource section. Next, I want to take you over to the business plans and growth system. So under business planning tools, under here, you could see a few different things. First of all, we have a traditional business plan. So oftentimes in like November, December, January, agents want to work off of a business plan. We have a tool here, which is like a fill in the blank business plan. And this is great if you want like a traditional business plan. It's a 45-page booklet. If you were to go Google business plans for real estate, this is the type of document you would find. But we don't love just the average stuff. So we also built a system called the Algorithm system. This is a real estate business growth system. And if you come to this page, laerrealty.com/Algorithm, you can actually download our Algorithm guide. And basically, it's a workbook that it is a step-by-step system to building a successful real estate business. So we tell you exactly the steps to take to get to 30 transactions a year. So all of this is at laerrealty.com/Algorithm as well. So you can download the workbook here. It's all based on checklists on what to do to be a successful real estate agent. In addition to that, if you go to laerrealty.com/12-week algorithm, we've been conducting a 12-week training program specifically focused on the algorithm system to growing a business. The reason it's called algorithm is there is an algorithm to success in real estate. If you do these certain things, you will get a particular result. So we give you the step-by-step checklist of the things that you need to do. None of the checklists are difficult. There's basically 7 checklists that you need to learn. The longest of the 7 checklists is a once-a-year checklist, the annual checklist with 12 items. The other 6 checklists each only have 9 items that you have to do. So this is our system. You can go watch our 12-week program. We still have 3 more weeks of this program that will be live for the next coming 3 weeks. But you can go watch the previous sessions that we've done. The last 9 sessions are all recorded at laerrealty.com/12-week algorithm. This has been a life-changing program for many agents who have gone from 0 to 30 transactions by following a system. So, and then we also have a third type of planning tool, which is, we call it a simple plan. And basically, it's a different concept of a business plan. Basically, the idea of it is if you produce, let's just say you do $2 million a year in real estate sales right now. Well, if you're doing 2 million in sales per year, next year, you're probably going to do $2 million in sales or within a 10% variance. And that's going to happen year after year. Most agents don't break out of a 10% variance in their current business for many years. So why is that? Well, in order to go from, let's just say, $2 million in annual sales for your business to 20 million, you have to think different. What you think about is who you become. So the one person you talk to every day is you. So what you tell yourself about yourself manifests into who you are. So if you want to have a massively different result for your business, then you have to think massively different about yourself and have different conversations with yourself. And that's what the Simple Plan program is all about. So there's a few different options there. So that's all under agent growth and development. And then down at the bottom, we have our agent toolbox. Couple things I want to point out here before we talk on technology tools. First, you guys get to meet Craig Foley, our Chief Sustainability Officer. He does do classes for us. He's very involved in helping our agents succeed when it comes to sustainability within their business. If you click on this house, we have a lot of the tools he speaks of. So today he showed you a couple of examples. For example, he was showing the green building registry. There's a link to that right here. So also he talks a great deal about the Pearl certification. This is a marketing platform, a marketing program specifically for high performance homes so that you can make the invisible features, the sustainable invisible features, visible to people that are looking at the property. So anytime Craig gives us any type of resource, we add it under the sustainability section. We also have an agent safety section. So we wrote our own little booklet on agent safety. So strongly recommend every agent take a look at this agent safety booklet that we created. It's a short book. It's like 20 pages, but these are the 20 pages that could save your life. We also have a bunch of resources on agent safety under this section. So, for example, Invisaware is really cool jewelry you can buy where it's actually an alarm built into the jewelry. So that's all at LAERrealty.com safety. And then I want to take you guys back for just a moment to our LAER program guide. So we started the morning off. Let me stop sharing for a moment and get us back to our program guide. We started the morning off at our LAER program and services guide. I said you can download that, by the way, at laerrealty.com/success tools. And what I said about it is that that is a resource that a lot of the stuff we were going to cover today, it's all built into that booklet. So let's go back there for just a second and see what we actually covered from that booklet today. So this is the program guide. And we went through the first, this is where we started today. So we're literally on page 7 of the program guide. We got to LAER agent services, and that's where we spent literally the whole morning. We then had Sergio give you an update of all the done for you marketing support that is available at LAER. I briefly touched on this, but if you're a LAER agent, we do 7 days of paid advertising on every new listing through the Boost by HomeSpotter platform. Any of the leads that come through this go directly to the list agent. You don't have to do anything. We actually run everything. However, you do get a username and password to the Boost platform. So if you want to go in and do additional advertising, or you want to change the ad that we've created, maybe you want to change out the photo, etc. Sergio also showed you our done for you weekly social media assistant. That's part of what LAER agents get every Monday. We send you your social media content for the week. And then typically for marketing presentations or CMAs, our agents typically use Cloud CMA or RPR. We have 2 great magazines, At Home Magazine and the LAER Luxury Selling Guide. And that's kind of all the marketing stuff, which was a big piece of today's program. But I don't want to leave you without covering a few pieces of technology that are 100% game changers for your business. So first off, at LAER, you get lots of complementary technology just by being a LAER agent. So we have like premium.loop, showing time, Boost by HomeSpotter. We also have what we call our tech bundle. So when agents are shopping for a brokerage, one of the things that they often wonder is, are there any monthly fees, any tech fees for being with the brokerage? At many companies, there's a mandatory tech fee that must be paid. At LAER, we have an optional $39 per month technology fee, and it includes 3 products. So the 3 products are Fellow, which is a set it and forget it marketing program, Boston Logic, which is a website platform, and Real Scout, which is a platform for buyer searches. We charge $39 a month for all 3. if you were to go purchase these three, and by the way, I still think they're worth it. So if you're not a LAER agent and you like these products, they're phenomenal. It'll probably cost you closer to $300 a month. Specifically, the Fellow one is most expensive because it's based on the size of your database. But these products are game changers. Number one, absolute game changer for your business is Fellow. Fellow is a set it and forget it system. You put names and email addresses into the Fellow system. It will send everybody in that database a market analysis, or I shouldn't say market analysis, an automated home valuation every 2 weeks. It pulls from 3 different centers. So like CoreLogic, it's got 3 different automated values. Those get emailed to everybody in your database every 3 weeks based on where their property is located. It'll tell them what the value of their property is. Then when you log in as an agent on the back end of your system, it will rate your database. So let's say you have 300 people in your database. It'll tell you of these 300 people, here's the 6 you need to pay attention to. These 6 have been clicking around the home value report. So the algorithm is actually a little more complicated than that, but it tells you which consumers in your current database are most likely going to sell in the next 6 to 12 months based on how much they bought their house for, how much they owe on it now, what their interest rate is, and what they're clicking on in the back end of the system. It's been phenomenal. It has created transactions for our agents, transactions with consumers that were already part of their sphere, but our agent didn't know that the person is seriously thinking about selling their property. It was Fellow that said, hey, reach out to this person. I think they're seriously thinking about selling their property. The second part of our $39 a month tech bundle is Boston Logic. It's an agent website. It comes created based on your marketplace. So it'll have like home market update reports, etc., for your market area. And the third part of the $39 per month tech bundle is Real Scout. Real Scout replaces MLS for property searches. Many real estate agents utilize their multiple listing service when a buyer wants to search real estate. So you set them up for a search within your multiple listing service, and the consumer gets emails saying, hey, here's all the new listings that hit the market within the price range you're looking at. MLS searches, I don't care what state you're in or what MLS you're in, the MLS searches are not great. They're very average. And that is why consumers go to Zillow. So the consumers want pretty pictures, lots of pictures. They want to get lots of emails of new real estate to look at. Real Scout is like having your own Zillow. So I'm going to invite Ashley from our tools team on just to give you a quick 5 or 10 minute presentation on what Real Scout can do to save clients, to keep your clients off of Zillow. And with that, I will welcome Ashley.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Stacy. So I'm going to start off before I share my screen. If you are a LAER agent and you do have the tech bundle, if you have any questions on Fellow, the website, Real Scout, Canva, there's a bunch of different one-on-one sessions that you can sign up for at laerrealty.com/briefing. So I did put that link in the chat for anyone that needs some extra one-on-one help. And with that, I will go ahead and share my screen. So as Stacy mentioned, Real Scout is a good way to keep buyers off of Zillow. And present. And can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So what I like to start off is there's an app for everything nowadays. So what I like to start off is I like to say that there's an app for the agents and there's an app for the client. So the agent app is always going to be a black background with a white house, and it's always going to have a little banner across the top right here that's going to say Pro, and it's always going to say Agent Dashboard. The consumer version is going to be the opposite. So it's going to be a white background with a black house, and it's going to say Real Scout Home Search. So if you're an agent and you accidentally download Real Scout Home Search and it's not letting you in, it's because it's the consumer side of the app and you need to download the agent side. Now, I frequently get asked this question: if I'm an agent, can I set up myself as a buyer? You can. You just need to have a different email address that you can use that's not associated with your agent account. So the answer to that is yes, and I should put that in here. Another quick thing is, how can I use Real Scout to self-generate leads or organically generate leads? Real Scout has these two unique links that you can market your platform. So the first one is a client search page where you can invite clients to create their own search. The second link is to engage prospective buyers and invite them to create their own search. So you can certainly take these links, you can make QR codes with them, you can put them on Facebook posts, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, open house sheets. If you do mailers, you can put them in mailers. If you do the ROAR report that LAER provides every month, you can put that on there. So there's different ways that you can use these two unique links. Now, each link is going to be the same, but it's going to be unique to each agent. So for Stacy, it would be stacyalcorn.realscout.com for the client search page, and then for the onboarding, it would be stacyalcorn.realscout.com/onboarding. For me, it would be the same thing. It would just be my name, ashleygendro.realscout.com, and then the same thing, ashleygendro.realscout.com/onboarding. So each link, even though it's the same name, it's unique to each agent, and it just goes to that agent. So no one else will see what you have coming in. Another frequently asked question is, how do I verify what MLS I'm in? So when you create your alert, there's 3 different alerts. There's a listing alert, a market activity alert, and a home value alert. Anytime you select the listing alert, you're always going to get a data feed property class. So right here, it says cross MLS/basic search when I did this quick guide. And that is because if you have more than one license or more than one MLS associated with your Real Scout account, it's always going to default to the cross MLS. So let's say you have a client who wants to look in both New Hampshire and Mass, right? One way to simplify just using one search engine is Real Scout, because you can have Real Scout search New Hampshire MLS and Mass MLS at the same time for the same criteria, instead of setting them up on 2 different searches in the MLSs. Now, if you have somebody that just wants one state, so let's say I have a client who wants to just be in New Hampshire instead of Mass and New Hampshire, or New Hampshire and Maine, you would drop down the cross MLS and you would select whatever MLS they wanted, whether it be MLS PIN, New Hampshire, Maine, Connecticut, Rhode Island, Florida, right? So you would just click the drop down and you would select what MLS you wanted to do that search for. That's how you can tell what MLSs you're in. There is an easy way to add a client. You just click on the add contact/alert button on the top right of the screen. Oh, pop-up window is going to come up. It's going to ask you to enter their email, their first name, their last name, their phone number, and the source. I don't do their phone number typically, but I'll do the source. So if it's in a sphere of influence, if it's a Veterans United, Op City, if it's a referral, I'll typically put that in there. And then I tag them as a buyer, a seller, buyer and seller, or other. So if you have an investor, you could classify them as other. You would click the create client button. Once you do that, it's going to bring you to your criteria fields, which are going to be similar to MLS. Now, there are going to be some variations to the searches. So in Real Scout, if you're doing a search for one MLS, and you have somebody who needs to be in a specific school district or go to a specific school within a specific school district, you can put that in. So that's a unique feature that Real Scout allows you to search by that MLS does not have. So you would go through the criteria just like you would in MLS. And then what I really like about Real Scout is that, and yes, MLS still has this, you can still get copies of the emails, but I like it because when I set up my clients on a search in Real Scout, I can decide, are they gonna get it as soon as it comes on? Are they gonna get it daily? Are they gonna get it weekly, monthly? Am I gonna hand pick them? But it also allows you to send a copy to yourself. So if you're on the road all day on Saturday or Sunday showing property and you know you're not going to be able to get to your computer to check MLS, you're still going to be able to check on your phone what houses your clients are getting matched to. It's an easy to read format. You're going to get all the information from MLS. You're going to get all the photos, but it's so much easier. It's a lot nicer, and it has more engagement for your clients than MLS does. When you are setting up a client search, there's different ways that you can search. You can draw your own outline. You can draw a polygon. You can do a rectangle. You could do a radius. If you draw any shape, you have to connect your last point to your first point. So let's say you're doing a square, 1, 2, 3, 4. Your fourth point always has to go back up and connect to your top point. If you don't connect your last point to your first point, the shape is not going to close and it's not going to create the search field for you. You can also search by school district, as I mentioned earlier. You can also search by condo association, development name, subdivision name, HOA name. So you can search like that. Another question I get is, I have a client, but they want to increase their price or they want to update their towns. You just go over to the navigation panel. On the left-hand side of the screen, you click on contacts. Once you click on contacts, it'll have all of your contacts. You click on the name. So you would click on the name. Once you click on the name, any alert with that client that is set up is going to show up here. And if you want to update their listen alert, you're just going to go over here to the right under the actions tab and you're going to click edit. The edit field is going to come up. You can click edit filters. Once you click edit filters, it's going to bring you back to your search criteria for you to update any field that you need to update, whether it be the town, the price, the number of bedrooms, the number of bathrooms, counties, etc. Once you update that, it's going to ask if you want to email any new matches, if there are any new matches to the updated search. If there are no new matches, it will come up with a window that says no new matches, and then you won't have to send anything. So there's ways to know if you have new matches with that new criteria because it will come up. Real Scout also has an auto nurture feature that keeps you top of mind. Even in this low market where we know there's low inventory, there's a lot of buyers, but not enough inventory. And if you have a client who you set up on a 3-bed, 1-bath search, but they start looking at 2-bed, 1-bath properties, Real Scout is going to cater to what they're looking at with this auto nurture feature. It's going to create a drip campaign as well with what they're looking at in addition to what you have set up for them. You can disable it for certain clients. You can have it set for every client. I have it set for every client. I also love that they have a monthly market activity report, or what Stacy and I refer to as a heat map or a heat index map. So this gives your buyers as well as your sellers an idea of what's going on either in their town or in their neighborhood or in their part of town. So if you have a big town, you can do a specific area within a town like I did right here in this example. And it's going to show you the number of active buyers within the square that I have. And it's going to show you the number of buyer interactions that buyers have had with listing agents or their agent. This data is pulled from the Real Scout platform. It doesn't take into account any data from MLS. And you can have it set for 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, 180 days, 365 days. This report also breaks it down as to how many buyers were out in this area for a specific week or specific day. It also shows you the top viewed listings, the top viewed properties, anything that's recently closed, anything that's recently listed. Now, how do I use this for sellers or buyers? So I use it when I'm writing an offer. So if my clients are going to see a top viewed property, I'm going to structure our offer a little differently. I might call the lender and say, hey, what's the possibility of closing this loan in 21 days versus 30 days? If they can do it, great. Then I'm going to put a 3-week escrow period in the offer. On the flip side, when I go to listing appointments, I do this report. And if you have a seller or a potential seller who's like up here on price, but your CMA in the market shows here, I print this report out and I tell them everything that's going on in your neighborhood is having the price down here. I said, so if you want fair market value, you're going to have to come down on your price, right? Because they're going probably by this estimate or another estimate that they saw online, right? They don't necessarily want to hear what we have to say. So this is just another piece that you can strengthen your listing presentation with about why you're proposing the price that you are, or why you're pricing the property where you're pricing it. And then just a couple of reasons why is Real Scout better than a website. It's above average. Its new property alerts are daily as soon as they hit the market. The property search emails are filled with photos. It's easy to read. And it also allows your clients to like certain features, like certain amenities about the property, rated on a scale of 1 to 5 stars, where in MLS, they can just like it or not like it. But okay, what did they like? What did they not like? Real Scout, they can do it all right there, and you can get all of that information without even having to call them because it's all in your live feed. You also get a mobile app, and you can integrate it with lead platforms such as realtor.com, and that's the one I can think of off the top of my head because that's the one I see the most. But there's other platforms that you can integrate Real Scout with. And then I have this little Zillow page about why your client should stay off Zillow and use Real Scout and avoid the third-party stuff because they're not as updated as MLS or Real Scout. So that's my quick presentation about Real Scout, and I will hand it back over to you, Stacy. And I think I did that in under 10 minutes.
Yes, awesome stuff. All right. So let's go back to the LAER program and services guide. We only have about 9 minutes left. Hold on, I have so many windows open. I gotta find, okay, there we go. So we're back at the LAER program and services guide. We just went through the 3 main pieces of the LAER tech bundle. By the way, all of these products, if you're considering using any of the products from Fellow to Real Scout, we do training on them regularly. So watch out for the training programs. Basically, both of the Real Scout and Fellow are on our calendar every month because those tools are so important for most agents' businesses. The next section of the LAER program guide is all the career development stuff, which we kind of covered already because a lot of this is over at LAER Agent Services. But just a quick refresher, the Algorwin program is our program to help agents get to 30 transactions a year. You can actually download our Algorwin workbook at laerrealty.com/Algorwin. Also, we have a coaching program for those who sign up or those who like the Algorwin product. We put the coaching program on hiatus for the last 12 weeks because I've been doing a live coaching call every Monday at 10:30, but we only have about 3 more weeks left of that of the live coaching with me on Mondays at 10:30. Then we'll resume our regular coaching program. But this is for agents that feel that they need an extra level of accountability for their business. You guys got to see all the different training. One of the things that's unique about our training is you'll see that not only do we teach a lot with our team, our tools team and staff, but also we bring in great trainers. In 2023, we brought in Tom Ferry to do some training for our agents. In 2024, we brought in Michael Mayer, who wrote the 7 Levels of Communication. So we like to give agents a great deal of perspective from different trainers and coaches. Let's see, the final part of this LAER program and services guide is additional support available to LAER agents. So the most important thing, I cannot stress this enough, if you're a LAER agent, anytime you need support, don't go direct to our staff. Our staff lives all day at LAER agent, at Happy Agent. So we have this Happy Agent portal. It's a customer service portal for you. If you email me directly, or if you email Sergio or Len or Ashley, any of us, there is a 40% chance that your email is going to get lost because there's so many emails in a day, like hundreds and hundreds of emails. I feel like email is the biggest inefficiency in our business. So our way of making sure that we can always help you is we say, don't email us at our personal emails because we don't want your request to get lost. If you email us at any time at happyagent@laerrealty.com, that comes into our customer service portal for our agents. You can ask who you want. So if you want to talk to me or you want to talk to Ashley, you can ask for whoever you want. As well, you don't have to know who you need to know. You can just email in and say, hey, I need this. I need help finding an addendum for offer I'm writing. I need somebody to walk me through writing an offer. You email into Happy Agent, it gets assigned to the staff member who is best suited to answer the questions for you. And then as a company, we can guarantee that you get the support you need. We can't guarantee it when you email us outside of the Happy Agent system because there's just a chance that email gets lost in general or ends up in spam, etc. You'll also see we have some cool technologies designed for our agents just to make life easier. Deposit link for collecting escrow and commission deposits. Yes, we take checks the old way as well. We were one of the pioneers in e-checks. We've been using e-checks for 6 or 7 years now. But we use e-checks because it just makes life so much easier for our agents. If you're an agent that needs leads, on page 33 of the LAER Program and Services Guide, we have a list of all the real estate lead platforms. On the right side are all the subscription-based lead platforms. Those are companies like Zillow where you pay monthly and they send you leads. Not a huge fan of those because you can pay for a long time and not actually get leads. I do like referral fee-based lead platforms. These are companies that you sign up and you sign an agreement that says, hey, if you give me a lead and I close it, I will pay X% back to your company for the lead. The referral fees are high, 35 to 40%. So our goal with all of our agents is to eventually get you off of lead platforms because any of these lead platforms, they're expensive for you. They're expensive for your business, and it's not a sustainable way to build a real estate business. So, but sometimes you just need them at the beginning of a career to get yourself up and running. So we get that. On the left-hand side are all the referral fee-based lead platforms that are out there. We encourage you to click on each one of these and sign up for every single one. By the way, if they have a waiting list, some of these companies have a waiting list just to see if you will keep going because they use it as part of the evaluation process to decide if you would be a good agent for their referral company, and they want somebody who's persistent. So even if there's a waiting list, sign yourself up for the waiting list and keep going. Don't give up. when you see like a yield sign or a stop sign, just keep going. All of these are great referral fee-based lead platforms. We also do have in-house transaction coordinating services. We have some information at the end here about our sustainable initiatives that you got to hear from Craig today. We also are very big fans of being realtors. I know that the realtor organization has been through a lot over the last couple of years. Sometimes it doesn't always show up in the greatest of lights, but I believe the only reason why we still have an industry and we have not gone the way of the taxi industry. Think about the hotel industry. The hotel industries have been decimated by Airbnb. Travel agent industry. The reason why we have an industry is, in my opinion, because of the National Association of Realtors. So we're a huge fan of the National Association of Realtors. Yes. Does it cost you money to be part of it? Yes. It's your job to go out and capture the value. So whatever you're spending to be a realtor, go find the value to make up for that expense. For example, RPR, I think, is worth $600 a year. So if you're utilizing RPR as a platform, then you're getting a return on your investment into being a realtor. Last but not least, the very last page of the booklet is all of our LAER locations. I want to just quickly say, first, thank you to everybody who sat through a 3-hour Zoom program. I know that is no easy feat. I want to remind you before we leave that write down the 5 items that you're going to go execute on. Your buyer presentation, your seller presentation, your buyer guide, seller guide, investor guide. How about your Googling yourself, getting a green designation, signing up for MLS mailings, TPMCO, the personal marketing company. If you're a LAER agent, it might be signing up for the LAER Tech Bundle so that you have those additional 3 products. If you're not a LAER agent, I'd say go check out Real Scout and go check out Fellow. So there's lots of stuff to choose from, but don't let this 3 hours pass you by. Take some of this and go execute on it. Now, finally, I want to mention, if you are not a LAER agent and you enjoyed some of the stuff you heard today, I'd love to talk to you to share some of the tools, training, technology, how that could make your business look a lot different than it does today. We specialize in building great real estate agents and adding value for great real estate agents. So if you're interested in learning more about LAER, you can go to laerrealty.com/careers. And there's a little form there that you can fill out about what you're looking for in a brokerage. That will end up with me and I'll reach back to you. And then for all of our other agents, especially our Connecticut, we have a whole new family of agents now in Connecticut. Very excited to work together. Thank you to everybody who joined us for the entire program. You guys are amazing. You're going to have an amazing spring and summer. So thank you. And thank you, Sergio, Craig, and Ashley, for helping with our presentation today. Thanks, everybody. Have a great spring.
You're welcome.